Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. If you desire to intimately connect with yourself, significant other, children, family, friends, community, and higher power, then this is the show for you. We explore intimate topics, inspiring life stories, spirituality, and insightful tips on strengthening relationships. The show is hosted by Dr. April and her co-host, Coach K. Let's get this episode of the Bringing Intimacy Back show started. We share with you today the secret power to intimacy to create the life you love or love the life you create. Now here's your host, Dr. April, and her co-host, Coach K.
Well, welcome to the Bringing Intimacy show back, where intimacy is real. As you know, we're live, so we always have fun things going on.
Yes, thanks for covering me. I was talking and forget I was muted. Yes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I finally got my week started from 2 weeks of whoosh. I had an anniversary on the 10th, birthday on the 18th with Father's Day, and so back to life now. So I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Well, happy belated birthday and happy anniversary. Yes. So I hope you guys celebrated pretty well.
Oh, yeah, we did. That's why I'm just now getting my week started.
Good. Well, I'm excited about today's topic. You know, we always talk about intimacy and that connection of being so close, but sometimes there's barriers to that.
Oh, yes. So many. And sometimes you don't even notice it until it's well after the fact. So yeah, I'm excited about today's topic for sure.
Right. And exactly as you're saying, not noticing, then it's way after the fact. So today we're talking about healing intimacy after trauma, because just like you say, Coach K, sometimes you just don't even know how it happened.
Absolutely.
Yes. And trauma can be anything from a car accident to, of course, a variety of things from rape to divorce to trauma can be what you feel trauma is to you, because it's everyone's different perception. Hurricanes, as we had here in Southwest Florida, a variety of things.
And that's super important to understand that trauma doesn't have a specific look, the specific smell. It doesn't, just because you saw it on TV doesn't make it.
Exactly. So I'm glad that we are talking about it today. And we're going to actually talk about it from a different perspective, from something that is, in some aspects, free. You know what I'm saying? Breath.
Yeah.
Many of us don't know how to do that, how to breathe.
Yeah. It's as simple as that sounds. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so we have an expert that is going to come on and talk to us about how to facilitate breath work. And he goes around helping others and teaching others. Of course, the services isn't free, but it is something that we have the tool right there. We just need to know how to do that. But before we get to that, of course, every month we highlight a charity of the month. And since it's Pride Month, we've been highlighting GSA Network. It's the Next Generation LGBTQ Racial and Gender Justice Organization that helps empowers people that are trans, queer, and just help mobilizes, be an advocate for them to have safer communities and, of course, healthier and safer schools. So if you're thinking about, hey, I want to know how I can help out this organization, their website is basically www.gsanetwork.org.
Very good organization to have.
Yes, especially in these times when things are changing, and many of these individuals sometimes experience trauma themselves. So this is definitely a great topic to have. So we're going to go for a break, but when we come back, I'm going to introduce our guest, Nick Carrera. I think hopefully I pronounced it right. And we're going to get talking about how to heal intimacy after trauma through breath work. We'll be back in a moment.
Life can be overwhelming sometimes. We think we are a burden to others. We think that it's better to hide it and suppress our hurt, but it's not. As Cave Coral Therapists, we will provide you with quality, confidential counseling services in a relaxing and peaceful environment. Talk to a professional today. Book an appointment on www.cavecoraltherapist.com or call 239-565-6921.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy Show, where intimacy is real. Welcome, Nick. Yes.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. We're welcome to have you on our show today. Yes. So, Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
I'm a certified breathwork teacher. I'm also a 200-hour registered yoga instructor, and I facilitate breathwork. I've been doing this since about 2019 in regards to teaching, and it's really geared towards healing trauma in the body, and using the breath to complete that mission and keep us going. So breath is, one of the most vital things in our life, is one of the most vital processes in our life. Without it, we wouldn't, be walking around right now. So basically, I hold space for people, and I facilitate breath work for them so they can, get those things that, are trauma related and in them, and trauma related things that happen in them that we hold inside. And, breath is the perfect tool to release that trauma. And so to let go of those stuck energies in the body, and doing that through our breath. So a lot of times, when we have like any trauma, whether it's, a hurricane or, we get in a fight, what do? Some of us just stop breathing, So, and a lot of times we don't even, know, oh, I'm holding, I'm not breathing. And a lot of times we don't even know how to utilize our breath. Why is deep breathing so relaxing? So my practice is geared towards using the breath to release trauma in the body, so we can, not walk around with heavy baggage from our past.
Okay, so this show is about intimacy in so many aspects, and as we have in the title, it's about healing intimacy or having healthy intimacy after trauma using breath work.
Yes.
Can you define what you feel like intimacy means to you, and then how does the breath work impact that?
Yeah. So for me, intimacy is, sharing that close connection with someone. Especially when it comes to relationships, that's, you're in a partnership, so there's a certain bond there. And a lot of us get into relationships, and it can be traumatizing. So for example, someone cheated on you, and you're like, oh, you that's trauma.
Right.
It's hurtful, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that for me would be like a form of that post-traumatic relationship syndrome, right?
Right.
So, yeah. And so a lot of times, like I said, you'll close up and you don't want to open up to your another partner, because you're afraid, you're fearful of feeling that pain again, or you might change. So for me, as trauma in a relationship relates to the breath, my practice is getting back to yourself, connecting with your breath, being with yourself, in order to start anew. So like I said, releasing those trauma is like a form of energy. So like letting go of that not holding on to that hurt and carrying it on to the next relationship. So my particular practice is very healing all around, in regards to any trauma you may have. This is how powerful the breath is, and this is what gives us life. And so tapping into that and and, you know, healing those traumas. So whether, you know, you just got in a relationship and you're like, you know, I need to breathe, and you breathe and you let it go. And, you know, you release that old stuff from the past. Um, and so, and then, you know, hopefully you don't carry it on to the next relationship, you know. So it's hard when we close up to open up to another person, right? And a lot of us, you know, will just close up, and then, you know, how can you open up to how can you let something in new when you're holding on to the old, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like some of us walk around. We're shallow breathing, right?
Yeah,
We take surface breaths, and what you do is just help people tap into a deeper place of breath, almost like grabbing that stuff, and as you exhale, taking that negativity and toxicity and blowing it out.
exactly. So the breath work is very healing. So it's a very healing practice. And, you know, like you said, just releasing it out. Um, so letting go of that old stuff from the past.
Have you found people that come to you and say, I know how to breathe. I don't need to know how to breathe. And then they work with you and it's like, oh my gosh,
All
I
the
just,
time, all the time. But, you know, no one comes out, you know, no one's ever, you know, like, oh, that was, you know, terrible. That didn't work, you know, because it's breath, you know, it's life. So, you know, as long as you're breathing and you keep breathing, you know, there's something to it. So it's like, you know, I didn't know, you know, I get a lot of times people are like, I didn't know I could, that was possible, you know. So especially, you know, it's not like breath work or breathing, you know, they don't teach it, you know, when we're growing up in our society per se, so in our culture. So of course it's when you experience it, it's different, you know.
So, Nick,
when you,
how would someone know if they were holding on to stuff and they would need your services? How would they, you know, how can they recognize it in themselves? Does that make sense?
I mean, if you're self-aware and you're
Hmm.
saying, okay, like I feel bad, like I just got out of a relationship and I'm hurt. And you don't necessarily, with the breath, you don't necessarily have to tell me this.
Right.
It's very confidential, and very private.
Hmm.
So, so if you know, if you recognize, okay, like I feel bad, you know, something's off, you know, I'm like, you know, I feel like I'm in a rut.
Okay.
I need to breathe. So,
Hmm.
so you're like, you know, what can I do? You can breathe, and this particular breath is very powerful. So, you know, if you feel stuck or if you feel like, you know, sad, if you recognize that in you and you're like, okay, man, you know,
Right.
what, you know, let's breathe.
Right. So if you're out there and you're listening and you're like maybe just had a breakup and you're going through social media and you're seeing pictures of XYZ and you get like, oh my gosh, or you're following this person on Instagram or whatever, or you're go to a restaurant that you used to go to with your partner and you're like, I can't, or maybe you can't even get out the bed. Yeah. Okay. So they contact you, Nick, and they said they would like to start breath work. I know we've been talking about it, but maybe give the audience a clear definition of what breath work is. It is just, or,
Um, it is, you know, we you know, our breathing patterns change. And so what I do is we go deep. So we, you know, we get into a meditative state. And from, you know, a scientific, you know, there's science behind it.
right.
Breathing in a particular way. You know, the science says, you know, you're releasing CO2 in the body, and activating your autonomic nervous system, which, you know, activates healing. It controls, you know, whether, you know, our healing, our cycles, you know, our nervous system, our immune system. So it's like, okay, you lower the CO2 in the body and increase the oxygen, and there's effects to it. Um, but, you know, so I guide through this particular breath, and breathing in this way is powerful, and there's no wrong way to do it. So I'm with you, and I coach you from beginning to end. So, and it's not like, like a 1 hour thing. It runs like a couple, 2 to 3 hours, depending, right? So, I guide you through that whole session. We get in we start in a state of peace. So, whether, you come in there flustered or whatever, we get present, we become present in the moment. And from there, you might want to set an intention like, man, I really want to go back to this restaurant. They had great cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm scared because I have this trauma. So, I want to do something about this PTSD, So we go in, and, I guide you, and we breathe, and, it's a very powerful practice. So, it's like you can get as a lot out of it, or you can get a little bit out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't breathe anymore in life, you're not going to get any more life, right?
Yeah.
So, you want to, so you breathe a lot and you can get a lot, right? So, and it might not take, and it's very effective, just once. But sometimes we need it more than once, Sometimes we need that coach to say, okay, like, coach, I want to work out twice a week. You're not going to get 6-pack abs like doing one rep, unless you're already in shape. So for me, I've experienced miraculous things just doing it.
What have you gained yourself from breath work? Yeah. How did you get involved into this?
Through wanting to heal, I got sick in like 2016, and like I started losing a lot of weight, and I was like, what do I do? And I had heard about, I did breath work, in 2013, and it was amazing. And I was like, man, I don't know, I don't feel good. Like I'm losing my health, like, my hair's falling out. What can I do? So, I'm like, well, you can breathe. So I started doing, I started breathing as much as I could. And then from there, after a couple years, I was like, I want to know a little bit more. And so I started to learn, and after that, like my health increased, my hair stopped falling out. I gained my weight back. I gained more energy. And I got a deeper understanding of myself. And so, that's what I've gained from it. And I know becoming familiar with the breath and, recognizing when I need to breathe. I know, like, the breath is our life, and it is vital. So, that's what I've gotten out. I've gotten out of more life, more health. And I know how powerful it is. So, yeah.
So you also help people become more aware when they may need to kick in the breathing exercises that they learn with you as well.
Yes. So, our breath is, vital. So as you become more familiar with it, as you practice more, of course, you're going to be like, okay, I need to breathe. So, and I'm there, if, to hold space, to guide you. So through that particular practice, I've become more emotionally aware. Like, okay, like, am I breathing? You know, is my breath shallow? You know, what happens if I breathe deep right now? Does all my breath go in? You know, is there something blocking my breath? You know, and then it's okay, keep breathing, right? Am I going to stop breathing because I have something, my breathing is shallow? No. So become practicing, you become, you know, more familiar with the breath and, you know, just the different, you know, intricacies of it.
Okay. Could you show us or give us an example of short breath work?
I can show you a
Okay, 30 seconds. Yeah.
a 30-second. I can give you a box. I can't really show you, uh, you know, I can't really show you like what we do in a session,
Right.
but because you know it's not something where, you know, that you know, chi breath is not something you're doing, you know, standing up or
Right.
like, you know, sitting in a chair. It's very deep. It's very intimate.
Mm-hmm.
So like me sitting here wouldn't do it justice.
Right. Right.
Okay?
Of course.
So I can show you, you know, it's a very deep breath.
Okay.
So if you want to inhale deeply and exhale, inhale deeply and exhale and relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt so good.
Yes, it did. It actually, I don't know about for you, Coach K, but it actually like slowed down my thoughts.
It calms you. It almost, because at that point you have to pay attention to the breathing versus everything else that's happening around you. So it almost forces you to focus on you and what you need in that moment.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and because it's the breath, you know, that healing goes, you know, on many levels. So it heals on a spiritual level, you know, on a you know, a mental level. Like you said, my thoughts feel more calm, you know. Um, so there's so many aspects of it that are beneficial. Um, so especially if, you know, you're in a relationship and, you know, you're like, am I even safe? Am I ready to get into another relationship? You know, should I be in a relationship? So, you know, the breath work is a great tool to, you know, have that all-encompassing um, that all-encompassing healing in regards to trauma.
Right. Good, good, good. Yes. Well, if people out there listening and they want to get in contact with you, how do they go about doing that?
So you can visit my website, chibreath.co.
Okay. All right. Yes. And what would they find on your website?
You can book a private session, and you can also email me directly at info@chibreath.co.
Okay. Can you just spell it so our listeners can make sure we get the right aspect?
That's info at
Okay.
chibreath.co.
All right. Thank you so much, Nick, for being on the show. We really do appreciate what you do and the healing. And if you're out there and you're hurting and you're feeling like, hey, I need to do something, this is something you definitely can do. Yes. And thank you again for being on the show.
Awesome.
All right, then. We're going to take a break and we'll be back in a moment. It goes. All right. Okay. Well, I'm not sure if our break's going to come through. So, Coach K, yeah, that was just very wonderful what he talked about.
It is. It's extremely important, honestly, the work that Nick does. And I don't think that many of us just in the world really think about it. And it's almost like when we tell people, hey, just be strong, but we don't give them the tools of what that looks like. It's not just take everything. When someone says, oh, just breathe, and somebody's like, well, I am breathing and I'm still so having a coach or someone to walk you through what that looks like and what that means is super beneficial in the long run. So like I say, just like with any coach, everyone knows how to do things, but having someone to walk you through what it looks like, because some people just don't know what is it supposed to feel like, so they feel like they're doing it wrong. So very important work that Nick does. And again, that's info at chi breath, CHI breath.co.co. So in the website, chibreath.co. So anyone's out there who feels like, I feel like there's some energy that's stuck in my chest, you can feel it stuck in the pit of your stomach, you can feel it stuck somewhere, or you just don't know, then that's a good place to start.
Yes, definitely. All right. So what's coming up?
So we have some amazing shows coming up for the rest of the week into next month already, my gracious. So on June 29th, we have Going the Wrong Way with Chris Donaldson. On July 6th, we have Sex Doesn't Start in the Bedroom with Gary Blase. On July 13th, we have Living Before Marriage, the beginning or the end with me and Dr. April.
Yes.
And then on July 20th, we have the Remarkable Healing Power of Crises with Suzanne Falter. And I really can't wait till we get to that one because many people don't know that. And then rounding out the month of July, we have The Soul, What Is It Good For? With Corey Zinski.
Right. Definitely. Well, this has been such a great show, and thank everybody for listening. And if you're out there, please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we will see you guys next week. This has been the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.